Hi, welcome to Knowledge Anuhab. In this video, we'll discuss about what is research. We will discuss different definition of research with examples. So let us start. Research is a systematic investigation into a subject to discover facts or principles. For example, studying the effects of pollution on marine life. Research is the process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information to answer a question. For example, surveying a student to understand their study habits. Research is a scientific and systematic research search for relevant information on a specific topic. For example, conducting a lab experiment to test a new drug. Research is the pursuit of knowledge through observation, study, and experimentation. For example, observing bird behavior in different seasons. Research is a careful inquiry or examination to discover new information. For example, investigating consumer preferences for a new product. Research is the process of solving problems through systematic methods. For example, identifying the root cause of a student dropouts in school. Research is a detailed and structured investigation to establish facts. For example, analyzing historical data to understand market trends. Research is the act of discovering new knowledge or validating existing theories. For example, testing Einstein theory in a new context. Research is an organized method of finding answers to questions. For example, interviewing patients to understand the side effects of a medicine. Research is a process to increase the stock of knowledge. For example, writing a thesis on climate change impact in coastal cities. Research is the art of scientific thinking. For example, designing a psychology experiment to study memory recall. Research is a tool for building knowledge and for facilitating learning. For example, conducting educational research on teaching methods. Research is a means of advancing society by discovering new insights. For example, investigating clean energy solutions. Research is a methodological process of inquiry and exploration. For example, exploring the nutritional value of traditional foods. Research is a way of finding solution to a practical problems. For example, developing a mobile app to improve public transport. Research is the intellectual and creative work undertaken to create new knowledge. For example, composing a musical piece based on cultural studies. Research involves formulating questions and seeking answers through data collection. For example, running a poll to determine voter options. Research is critical for innovation and development. For example, creating a prototype for a new medical device. Research is the process of inquiry based on scientific principles. For example, using lab testing to verify a new vaccine effectiveness. Research is gathering and analyzing information to make informed decisions. For example, studying market conditions before launching a business. Research is exploration driven by curiosity and the need to understand. For example, exploring the psychological impact of social media on teenagers. Research is evidence-based learning. For example, teachers researching new classroom strategy and applying them. Research is verifying or falsifying existing knowledge or beliefs. For example, testing the belief that multitasking reduces productivity. Research is the foundation of academic and scientific progress. For example, university scholars publishing peer-reviewed studies. Research involves both qualitative and quantitative investigation. For example, using statistics and interviews to understand job satisfaction. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching my video. Please do like, subscribe, and share my YouTube video. See you in the next video. This was only for today. Bye bye. Bye bye.